team. So I'm going to show you the basics of, if you've never even picked up a video camera, if you have no idea what you're doing, then this is for you. And if you're great at this or okay at it or decent, then, and you want to figure out a way to teach this to students and break it down and simplify it for them, then this is for you. This is Introduction to Videography. Let's like, who would say scale from 0 to 10, 0 being never really picked up a camera to do anything other than like an Instagram story, to 10, like someone would pay you to make a video. How many people are 0 to 3? Okay. 4 to 6? 7 to 10. Okay, cool, good to know. That's great. So, yeah, we're kind of all over the map here, but this is a good refresher if you do. But this will either teach you, or if you already know this, maybe it'll teach you how to teach it, or maybe you can pick up a couple pointers from the way that we teach it. All of this is from the Video Coach DVD series that we do. This is the blue disc is just the basic, the fundamentals, and this is going to be really, really simplified concepts of producing videos. So my underlying concept of video journalism as a video journalist photographer, or really even a documentary like videographer, is my concept is take me somewhere I can't go, show me something I can't see. That's the basic underlying philosophy of shooting journalism stories for me. I don't care to see the thing that we've all know exactly what it is. If you can Google it, it's probably not a very interesting story, right? If you can look up the Wikipedia on it and do a book report, like, we're not making video book reports here. We're going and finding things that no one else has found before. That's the secret sauce. Go find me something that is going to pique my interest, not something I can look up on Wikipedia. Okay? So take me somewhere I can't go. Show me something I can't see. Let's watch a little story. Has anyone seen this? Has anyone used these videos in your classroom? Okay, 4 or 5. Great. So we're going to watch. This will be, I present it a little different in person than I do on the disc. So
we are a classic 1980s style arcade. Got about 50, 60 stand-up video games, about 7 pinball machines.
I'm here in 1984, our local arcade. I'm revisiting my childhood.
Basically seeing people come in with their mouths open with a stunned look of joy on their faces. It's like, I haven't seen this in 20 years. This is the coolest place I've ever seen in my life.
So the basics of this package here, this little news story, is we have sound bites, right? Sound bites and B-roll. That's pretty much it. That's what we're talking about when we're talking about shooting a news story. Sound bites, B-roll. Sound bites are the little parts of your interview. It's a little piece, the usable little nugget of your interview. That's why we do interviews for news packages, is to get sound bites. And then we also have B-roll. B-roll is the footage, but it's not just the footage, it's also the sound. It's also the natural sound inside your footage. Because you think of a video clip isn't just a video clip. It should be called a video and audio clip, technically, you know? Because we're not just thinking in terms of visuals, we're thinking in terms of what sounds can we get. So you break it down to its most basic format. We've got sound bites and B-roll. Any documentary you've ever seen, any news package you've ever seen has been a soundbite or B-roll, or maybe a stand-up of someone, you know, a reporter on the scene showing you where the accident happened, whatever. Okay, so sound bites are the parts of your interview. Let's watch a sound bite. What's your favorite part of the job?
Basically seeing people come in with their mouths open with a stunned look of joy on their faces. It's like, I haven't seen this in 20 years. This is the coolest place I've ever seen in my life.
Okay, so that's a soundbite. That's a nice little soundbite. It kind of requires a little bit of, I should have written into that a little bit, like, you know, something like, John finds his work, you know, finds it satisfying when people come into his arcade for the first time. And then, you know, and then run that or something. It doesn't make total sense out of context. Here is some B-roll. Let's watch some raw B-roll. All right, and so the whole point is to take your sound bites and take your B-roll and then mix them together in your editing software and tell a story with that. So let's look at some like essential equipment, essential gear for whenever you're actually want to go out and shoot one of these news packages. Clearly, a camera is important for this. We made this DVD right at 10 years ago. So a lot of the technology you're going to see in this is obsolete by now. However, the concepts, all the underlying concepts are exactly the same and haven't changed at all. So a camera, ideally, whenever you're shooting a news story, and again, the invention of DSLR cameras came along a couple years after we produced this, but this still holds true. You're going to want on your cameras, you think about, wow, what camera should I get for my program or whatever. You really need a microphone input and a headphone jack. That's kind of the most basic thing you're looking for. If you don't have a headphone jack or a microphone input on your camera, your life is going to be real tough. And it's going to be real tough teaching students to run an external sound recorder and a DSLR at the same time, and then they have to slate, and then they sync sound in post. That's going to be a nightmare. DSLRs have really cool images. You can get really good looks out of them. You can swap out the lenses. But you know, you're going to make your life a lot harder if you buy cameras for your program without a mic input and a headphone jack. This is the #1 suggestion I have. Any questions? Yeah.
You keep on saying, which DSLR? I mean, that's how basic.
Oh, yeah. A DSLR is just it's, you know, those cameras that look just like a still camera, like a still photography camera with the lens, and then people can shoot video on those now. So those are video enabled, and they have really beautiful images they create, but they don't have microphone. Yeah, they don't have these ports most of the time. Some of the very expensive ones do, and that might change tomorrow.
Compared to just our video cameras like that.
Yeah.
They have slots for all that.
Yeah, so this is just a real basic, probably $300 Canon Vixia camera. And you've got a microphone input, headphone jack right there. So as cheap and small and really user-friendly as this probably is, that's the basics of what you're looking for. So any other questions about that? Okay. Tripod. Very important piece of equipment for shooting a video. We're recording this in the back of the room, and there's no way this shot's stable without a tripod, especially for 30 minutes. Like, it's just not possible. So here's a couple shots. Here's a handheld shot in a park of some ducks. You're probably used to seeing footage like this from your students, or maybe yourself, you know. It's okay. Just taking like 20 seconds to put a camera on a tripod can like make your footage look watchable. This is so much more watchable. It looks so much better. Right? But we get in a rush when we're out shooting stuff. Or you're like, we don't have time to get the tripod, let's go, you know? And so just take a breath and bring your tripod. Tell your students, bring your tripod, bring a tripod. And especially for beginners. And again, this is all of these rules you can break, all of the rules that I'm telling you, all breakable. Like, you can throw them out the window eventually, once you master them though. But don't go shooting everything documentary verite style until you master just putting a camera on a tripod. You need to know this first before you move on to being able to actually shoot handheld in a decent way. So yeah, that of course looks so much better. Use a tripod. Headphones. Headphones are really important. If you notice, the videographer in the back of the room is wearing headphones. Why is that? Anybody know?
He needs to hear the audio track.
Yeah, he needs to hear this microphone that's on me here. Because you could use just faith. Faith production, which is just the mic's on him. It's probably working. So you could just hope that your audio is working. That's one way to do it. You could certainly hope your microphone's working, but you never want to trust a microphone, ever. You always have to know that you're getting sound. Also, I might be wearing a microphone, but that camera also has a built-on onboard microphone on that camera. And so he needs to make sure it's not that microphone on that camera that's picking me up. Because that mic would still pick me up, but it would sound like I'm in an echo chamber. It'd sound far away. This sounds like I'm a foot away. So when the viewers are watching this, they can actually hear what I'm saying. And it's not getting mixed up with like the room, the sound of the room. This is a pretty quiet room.
So can you break that down a little bit? Like exactly what do you have there? Because I can't really tell.
This mic, this is a wireless microphone.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is a transmitter on here.
All right.
And it's taking the sound from this mic, transmitting it to a receiver on that camera. I generally, unless you need a wireless microphone, in this case we need one, unless you need a wireless mic, I would not use them. I don't use wireless mics. Whenever possible, run a wire. If you can run a wire, like you're not going to get, things in the air, radio signals interfering with it. So when in doubt, anytime I can run a wire, I run a wire. It'll save you the hassle of interfering radio signals and stuff when you can. So like I said, there's that built-on microphone that's on most cameras. Even this one's going to have a little. It's probably these little slots here. Is probably the built-on onboard microphone. So there's that on most cameras. And then that's a lapel microphone. That's exactly what I'm wearing here. And these are handheld microphones. This is kind of useful if you're going to do, say, like a run and gun interview. Like if we were covering, say, like during our break or during lunch or something, someone run around and get quick little sound bites from you at the workshop, and you're going one to the, doing a bunch of them at once. It's an easy way. Tip with a microphone as a reporter, never, ever, 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 ever let your subject hold the microphone. Ever. You are in control. You are running the show. You will ask the questions. The moment you hand someone a mic, they think they're on a talk show. They will just take over. And that's not what you want. You always, if you're the reporter, you always keep control of your microphone. That's controlling. That's this weird little subtle way of controlling the environment you're shooting in. Media, this is where we're really dating ourselves. Tapes are gone. Is anyone shooting on tape? You can admit it. No? It's gone. It's over. The hard drive. Cameras for a while had these like big chunky hard drives on them. And then now, obviously, everything is on a flash drive. So didn't really think about that whenever we made this DVD. But also DVDs, are kind of going away. You'd be surprised how many people still buy DVDs. People like having a little tangible thing. But anyways, so you need media in your camera. I know this is a no-brainer, but you got to have something for the camera to put the footage and the sounds you're recording onto. When I first got started, and sometimes this list gets a lot longer nowadays, but when I was in high school, I would actually write this out. And if you have an equipment area where kids come to check out stuff or, before they go out on a shoot, I would print this out and be like, do you have these items? Do you have your camera, your tripod, your mic, your headphones, your batteries, and your media? And extra batteries, not just the one that might be charged on the camera. Always bring that extra battery when in doubt. Also, extra media. Never hurts to have an extra card laying around. So, the most important thing about this, and this is true, this holds up because this was 10 years ago, all this stuff is totally obsolete. The cell phone that you have on you right now shoots better quality video than that camera I showed you, that big $3,000 piece of equipment that shot on tape. the thing in your pocket probably shoots 4K, at least HD quality video, and is far more capable of recording good images than anything that we were working on, even professionally, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. Like that's how good the cameras in your pocket are. So it's not about the gear. So that's the other thing is like, don't be intimidated or don't be overwhelmed by the equipment and the stuff. Like, honestly, Dave knows very little about actual technology, I would say. He's very savvy on concepts, but like, I would focus on the concepts, focus on the techniques, focus on the storytelling. Those are the things that are never gonna go away. That stuff's always gonna be exactly the same. And so, like, try to stay up as much as you can on the tech, but a lot of the times what I've seen a lot of teachers do, is they find that one or two students that are just the tech nerds, that are just like into it, and they talk to them like, what do you think? Like, you figure this out. You figure out the software. You figure out the camera. Like, you want to know your cameras well enough to be able to troubleshoot them for your kids. But like, don't try to learn everything about everything in video production. It's going to overwhelm you. And don't worry if your school doesn't have the latest, greatest stuff. Like, it's fine. I would personally rather work within the parameters of like, okay, this is the gear we have. We're going to make it work. And you can make it work. All you need is that headphone jack and microphone input. And that's literally about all you need. So don't worry about the gear. It's not about the gear. It's about the storytelling techniques. Okay, so this is the most basic way to break down videography that I know of, and it's to break this down into wide, medium, and tight shots. So here's the way to not shoot something, and this is how a lot of people shoot stuff. I'm gonna unplug this for a second. It's just like, you think like, okay, I'm a videographer, I'm gonna get a shot of the classroom, right? And then it's like, all right, getting the shot of the classroom, got it, and we're good. Like, that's what we call hosing it down. You're like a firefighter coming in, the room's on fire, and you're just gonna spray it down with the hose. Got it. Honestly, social media has trained us to shoot that way. It's just, yep, let's just roll Instagram story, Snapchat, like just footage, it counts. That's not how you shoot as a professional videographer. And so don't hose it down. So if we're looking in your edit software later and we're like, where are all your shots? It might be because you hosed it down, so don't hose it down. This is the alternative to hosing it down, wide, medium, and tight. Think of shots like this. This is exactly like the room we're in right now, or a little bit like it. This is where we do the workshop in Springfield. This is just a classroom. Someone's giving a presentation or something, right? So wide shot. I always get my wide shot first, usually. If I was gonna get a wide shot in here, I'd probably come back here, into the corner. I always like to go into a corner. If you're getting a wide shot of an interior, try to get as much in it as possible. Stationary, on a tripod, wide shot. Got it. I understand what's going on in here. Or I could shoot it from that corner if I wanted to get me up here presenting, kind of like this. Wide shots are established. They establish where you're at. They establish your location. They give you a frame of reference for the entire rest of your video. Your viewers aren't going to be where you were. Remember, you're taking them somewhere they can't go. So you need to give them perspective. You need to let them know where you're at. And that's what wide shots do. They establish your location. Now, these all exist in relation to each other. Yeah, what's up?
Would you pan at all?
Generally, no. Not, especially not for beginners. With a pan, and we'll talk, I think we show a pan here in a minute. I don't know if I did pans or tilts in this presentation. Pan is just, say you're on a tripod, panning left and right. That's left and right. Tilting is up and down, right? So I don't like to pan unless it's motivated. If I'm, I don't know, if I'm going to get a shot of the classroom here, say someone's at the snack table, and it's Karen, can you stand up, go to the snack table? If I'm going to get a shot, yeah, you grab a snack and then just walk over to Dave there. If I wanted to like pan with Karen and then stop on you guys, and let her exit my frame. That'd be a motivated pan. That'd be a reason to pan. Panning for no reason is kind of, okay, you can sit down. Good job. Excellent, excellent work. Give her a round of applause. I mean, hosing it down is kind of an unmotivated pan. There's no reason to pan. If it's just, that's lazy. Just to get a little movement in your shot, just because you can. It's like, no, you got to have a reason for your pans, I think. At least that is a rule you can break, but don't teach it that way in the beginning. In the beginning, wide shots, lock down. It's a medium shot. There's two people working on something or paying attention or whatever. And here's a tight shot. Tight shots, all the detail, right? If a story's all tight shots, then what happens? No context, right? If a story's all wide shots, it's boring, no detail. If it's all medium shots, it's even more boring. Medium shots are kind of how we see the world. It's kind of how if you're just looking around, you kind of see in medium shots a little bit. It's just like you can focus on a couple things. We don't get to see this perspective. This is take me somewhere I can't go. This is take me somewhere I can't go. Show me something I can't see. And that's what a tight shot does. Also, and we'll get into this more in the presentation, tight shots, you can't get a lot of tight shots by zooming. Zooms are not for tight shots. Getting close is for tight shots. This shot is probably from about like this perspective right here. And you don't have to make someone feel uncomfortable, get all up in their space and stuff. But I'm not really doing that right now, especially if I'm shooting from the hip or something like that. If I was like this, then yeah, maybe it's a little awkward. But don't be afraid to get close for your tight shots. It's really the only way to get these engaging tight shots. You have to kind of move, Wide shots establish. Medium shots give you a little bit more detail, little less context. Tight shots are all detail, no context. These are the three basic types of shots you can get. So the question in like a room like this right now, the whole point is to get, well, we'll talk about that in a second, sorry. Here's a wide from the story we watched as an example. Remember, these were video clips. Here's a wide. It's kind of a medium of his hands. And there's a tight of the actual game. This is all the same thing happening right here. All the same action, but I got three different versions of it. An amateur shooter would just walk in with the camera and go, I got a shot of the guy playing pinball. Got it. Let's get out of here. No. Get a wide shot, get a medium shot, get a tight shot. Wide, medium, tight. That's as basic as it gets. So why do we shoot wide, medium, and tights? Well, here's how it comes together. So in your editing software, apparently WeVideo is what everyone uses now. That's the first moment I've ever sat in a room and most people were on software-based editing or cloud-based editing. That's really big, actually. That's a pretty interesting moment. Here's our wide shot. Here's our medium shot. Here's our tight shot. This is from Final Cut Pro 7. But all the concepts are the same. I'm sure WeVideo looks exactly like this too. Wide, medium, shot, or tight, sorry. So here's how those edit together in a sequence. Wide, medium, tight. It fools you into thinking it's happening in real time, right? That's a trick, though. That's an editing trick. It's actually the point of editing. Is to condense time. Trick your brain into thinking you're watching one continuous sequence. Nope, these are three different moments, three different setups, three different shots, and I tricked your brain into thinking it's all just happening. That's why we shoot wide, medium, and tight. It's the foundation of all filmmaking. It's the foundation of all videography. Let's watch this sequence here. Again, your brain just thinks that happened. It doesn't really realize that that's the magic of editing here. One more time. You just accept it. And there's no transitions. But really, your brain just accepts that as like, yeah, that guy's playing pinball. It's like, no, that videographer took time to set up 3 different shots just for that like 5 seconds of on-screen time. Important part of a sequence here, especially like this with this repeated motion, you got to make sure that in the edit, you time out the cuts right so that you cut when his arm's in the right place. Do you see what I'm saying? Like the ball's not jumping around. So a sequence is a shooting thing, but it's also an editing thing. It's really an editing thing. You make sure you go get the right things to edit. But you still have to technically edit it together right in this case. Because if not, say for instance, I don't know if his sunglasses were off in one of the shots or something sitting on there, it's called continuity. It's a break in continuity. The thing that makes it flow from one shot to another, that's continuity. And if you don't edit this right, there could be a break in the continuity because the ball would be jumping around at different places, right? Composition, the basics of composition. The rule of thirds, who's heard of the rule of thirds? Cool, pretty much everybody. If you haven't, rule of thirds is a way of framing up your shots. Generally, if you're an amateur videographer, a lot of times people just like to center everything. They just put everything right in the center of the frame. And again, social media is kind of, if you like, selfies, the selfie is just, yeah. So if you notice in this sequence, there's not really nothing happening right in the middle of the frame, like dead center. There's nothing really happening. And it's a way to make your viewers' eyes like kind of move across the screen. It's visually interesting. And so the idea here is I put the point of interest in most shots right on one of these crosshairs. Right on, he's pretty close to this. His face is on this one. The ball's going to be right here. So that's the rule of thirds. It's divide your screen into, think of it like a tic-tac-toe box. And if you notice, he's lined up with this third line. There's a more subtle one. This little rock wall here in the back is kind of framing up our shot with the rule of thirds. This tree, in a way. Again, his eyes on this quadrant. Glove. Again, this line back here is almost perfectly with the rule of thirds. So think about your shots in terms of composing them this way. And what it'll do is it'll make them a little more visually interesting. Here's an example of a landscape that's shot. It's a sunset shot. The land is right here, right on that bottom 1/3 line. It draws attention to the sky. See if you can find it in this shot. Your eyes move across the frame. It's not just like, bam, center, right in the middle, good to go.
No fishing.
What's that?
Maybe the no fishing sign?
Yeah, this is no fishing. Yep, that's the back of the lake. That's right on that 1/3 line. And in a more subtle way, this too, it's playing with the rule of thirds, even though it isn't like dead on. See if you can see it in this one. Again, there's nothing really happening right here in the middle of the frame. We've got this duck here framing us up, and then those. Any questions about rule of thirds? It's pretty basic, but social media, Instagram stories, all that stuff has trained us to just put it in the middle and shoot it. And that's honestly, it's like fine for social media, but it's just a different form of media. It's not, I don't know, it's not the same. I don't know how else to say it. It's a different format than video journalism storytelling. So eyes on third. This is another little way to use the rule of thirds. I'm going over time just a little bit. I apologize. So his eyes are right there on that upper 1/3 line, if you notice. Even if you're shooting the other direction, it doesn't matter how wide or tight your shot is. If you're doing an interview or really shooting anyone and you don't really know how to frame a person up, putting the eyes on that one upper 1/3 line is fine. It's also okay to crop off the top of their head. That's like totally okay to do. Not a big deal.
Doesn't need headroom on everything.
Not on everything. I go more by the eyes than on the head. Yeah. Talking space for your interviews. If you notice, there's more room in front of our subject than behind. So our interview subject is speaking to the photographer who's off screen. They're not, or I'm sorry, the reporter who's off screen, not looking directly into the camera. And so you always put a little bit more space here in front of your person. Doesn't this feel uncomfortable? It just feels like, what's wrong with this? And it's because the talking space is behind the person. There's more space behind them. A way to tell kids is like, imagine all the space in front of them filling up with words. Sorry. Imagine all this space filling up with words here. And we'll do more on interviews later. We'll get way in the weeds on how to shoot interviews. But this is really what you need to focus on today is the basic shooting fundamentals. We're not going to get into aperture, shutter speed, and ISO. These are the ways to manipulate the exposure on most cameras. But what I'm going to say here, it's okay, if you're first starting out, it's okay to shoot on automatic. You know, like I know that manual switch, if your camera has it, is very intimidating. You think you're going to screw it up. It's okay to shoot on automatic at first. Learn on automatic. That's totally fine. That's not within the scope of today's assignment to go into everything about exposure. I will say that this shot is well exposed. If you'll notice, the white parts of the images, the bright parts aren't overly bright, and the dark parts aren't overly dark. This is kind of what we're going for. Just a well-exposed image. We've seen this before. This is overexposed. It's too bright. I just want you to be familiar with these concepts, so that when we're critiquing them and we go, what's wrong with this? You'll be able to say, oh yeah, it's overexposed or underexposed. This is underexposed. So I just want you to be familiar with these concepts. Properly exposed, overexposed, underexposed. You should just be able to recognize it if you're going to critique this in your own work or in your students' work. Okay, on to the tips. This will just take a minute. Always wear your headphones. Always wear your headphones. It's going to happen this week whenever you go shoot an interview with someone, and you're going to come back, and you're going to say, I don't know what happened. It was recording. It was working earlier, and we don't have sound in our edit. And we'll just say, like, were you wearing your headphones? And you're going to lie. You're going to say, I was wearing my headphones. And you weren't. You weren't wearing them. So wear your headphones. Please wear your headphones. You need them. To use a tripod, especially in the beginning, especially when you're first learning to shoot, it does you so many favors to just learn the technique of using a tripod. Remember our example. Manual focus. If you've got a little bit of experience with the camera, I think it's time to start shooting with manual focus if you never have. Manual focus is usually there's a little switch on your camera. It's okay to shoot automatic when you first start shooting, but usually there's a little switch on there, and you can swap it over to manual. And what it does, it'll keep from, say someone walks by in the background of your shot, it'll keep the camera from focusing on that for a second and then jumping back to what you actually want on focus. Don't backlight. Here's an example of backlighting. If you're shooting automatic exposure, if you're just a beginner, you're not manipulating all of the manual exposure settings, don't put your source of light behind your person. That will make them to where you can't see them. This will happen if you shoot in front of windows too on automatic. So the way to fix this, believe it or, oh, sorry. The way to fix this is to just move to where the source of light is, you know, on the other side of them. Just move them. Move the person. Swap sides. So that's a pretty simple one, but you know that you can tell the difference there. White balance. So cameras don't know what color the light is in the room. In here, it's actually pretty, like, these fluorescents are kind of a little bit orange-ish in their tone. If you look outside right now, that light coming in is a bit blue. It's kind of a bluish kind of light. So daylight is blue. A lot of interior lighting, not all, a lot of interior lighting is a little more warm, a little more orange. And that's called color temperature or Kelvin. You don't have to remember any of that. All you have to remember is you have to tell your camera which color is white. So you've probably seen footage like this. And this guy's just, well, what's wrong with it? It's too orange, right? It's too warm. And What's wrong with this shot? Yeah, it looks like a scene out of one of those vampire movies, right? So you've seen this happen before. You're probably like, well, that sucks. I don't know what I should have done. Well, that's what white balance is for, and you have to do it when you're shooting. And think of it this way. You want to change your white balance anytime you move to a new area. So white balance presets look something like this usually. Most cameras will be like, are you shooting in direct sunlight? Are you shooting with an incandescent bulb? Are you shooting with in the shade? Is it cloudy out? These all make the light look like a different color. And nowadays, also like fluorescence, like a lot of cameras will have settings for fluorescent tubes. And then the manual way to white balance would be find something white. And a lot of cameras have this. Find something white, you zoom in on it, and you can press a button. It usually looks like this. Something on the camera looks something like that. You usually hold down on it. And what it does is it says, that's white. And then the camera goes, OK, now it knows what all the other colors should look like. Right? Now she looks good. So there's a before and after, white balance. So a lot of times the preset buttons work on your camera. So you just pick the button that looks like, or that represents the lighting conditions. Or you can do a manual white balance. That's kind of the two ways. Yes?
Is there a reason why you would do this in camera rather than post?
Great question. So a lot of editing software, you might say, oh, you can white balance later. Unless you're shooting on a $20,000 camera that shoots raw, and we do at our production company, unless you're shooting on that camera, you can't do it. We can change our white balance in post. We can actually change the white balance and the ISO, which is really, really cool. But this camera does not do that. This camera is going to bake this into it. It's going to bake that into the codec. And then when you bring that into your software, you're never going to make it look as good as if you just white balance your camera. You can polish the turd, but it's still a turd. So you can't fix everything in post. You can make it a little better, but you can't make it look great in post. You can't. You can't make your white balance look great in post. You have to do it in camera if you want it to look right. If you want it to take it to the next level. And it only takes a second. And you don't have to do it for every shot. You just need to do it anytime you switch locations. So if I went out in the sun right now, I'd switch over to the sun thing. So does that kind of answer your question? So yeah, the whole we'll fix it later. It's never going to look good. It's never going to look good. And I can tell. I can tell by looking at the image oh, they really screwed up the color on this. They're trying to bring it back, and it just doesn't work. Record a little post-roll and pre-roll. This is what I was saying, press record, count to 10. Don't record your shot adjustments. Wait until you have a shot to press record. This is something that beginning shooters, they get nervous, they get excited, they press record, and then they're like, now maybe I should adjust this. Maybe this could be a little bit better. So here's an example of someone recording their shot adjust. It's like, oh, maybe he should be, I don't know, I like that a little better. Oh, here, this looks good. Oh, and then I press stop, So don't record whenever you're setting up your shot. Just wait until you get your shot and then press record. Because sometimes you can be setting it up and you think you got it. You didn't get it. You just recorded you figuring it out. And then once you got it, you didn't record enough of it. So don't record until you have your shot figured out. Take your hands off the camera. All you got to do is press record. Just give it a second. Just don't panic. Just give it a second. Tip number 8, zoom with your feet. You have to walk to get closer to people. You've got to move around. You can't stand, for the purpose of this video right now, it's just to record me giving a presentation. It's just documenting it. It's like the way you want to do this is exactly how they're doing it. Have a wide camera and then have a tight camera following me, or however they're doing it. But if you're shooting journalistically, if you're shooting for a news package, you gotta move. You have to move. You're gonna be sweating by the time you're done shooting. If you're not sweating, you probably didn't do it right. And so you have to move around to get interesting shots. You can't just zoom in and stand in the back of the room and zoom in and get all the tight shots you need. That's all gonna be from the same perspective. It's not gonna be interesting. You gotta move. Don't cross the axis. I'm not going to get too deep into this, but I do want to introduce this concept. This is confusing for people in the very beginning, but I want you to notice, guy on the left here in the blue shirt is on the left side of our screen. Guy in the black shirt is on the right side, right? So this sequence makes sense, left and right. And why are they on the left and the right side? It's because the photographer stays on this side of them. It's the perspective of the camera that keeps them on the left and the right. They aren't objectively on the left and right side of anything. We just stay on this side of them. So
let's say you want to shoot a sequence of these two guys playing catch. We first need to draw an imaginary line across from where we're standing. This is the axis. It's also called the 180-degree line. For our sequence to make sense from the viewer's perspective, all we have to do is keep on one side of this axis while we're shooting.
All right, I'm going to mute this. Does this make sense? We can shoot from anywhere on this side of this line, right? And it'll edit together, right? It's not going to confuse people in the edit. Imagine if you're watching a football game. Yeah, and they were shooting from both sides of the field, right? If the guy's running this way and they cut to a shot from the other side of the field, then he's running that, and you would be like, what's going on? Is he going the wrong way? It's just the perspective of the camera. So don't mix the perspectives with one side and the other side. So here's what happens when you mix them up. Blue shirt guy's on the left, black shirt guy's on the right. Oh. It's confusing, right? And it's because you mixed this shot with this shot, and your brain goes, and they screw this up all the time, like professional videographers. Movies sometimes screw this up. TV shows do it all the time. They shoot so fast. And it's like, if you're like, what is going on? Who's talking? It's probably because they're crossing the axis. And it's probably because they just screwed up when they shot and they couldn't fix it in post. You can't fix this in post unless you flip this shot, but then all of a sudden he's left-handed instead of right-handed. So again, here's another example of how to shoot an interview by not crossing the axis. Keep both cameras on this side. And then all of a sudden it looks like it's the illusion that these two people are talking to each other. Right? You can cut that into a conversation. And it's just keep those cameras on that side. All right. And that is it for that.